it's Teacher Carrie here, and I'm back with another episode of Tea Time with Carrie. Today, I want to spill the real tea about what I think of parents accompanying their children to their online classes. As you may know, I've been teaching for VIP Kid for 6 contracts now, or about 3 years. And in that time, I have had many different interactions with parents in my classroom. So today, I want to talk with you about the pros and cons of having parents accompany their child to class, as well as some ways that you might want to address these concerns with the parent as you are teaching. No, of course, this video has not been sponsored by anyone, and the views that I present here today are not necessarily endorsed by VIP Kid. They're just my own personal opinion that I'd like to share with you. So, hashtag not sponsored, and let's jump into it. Often with the VIP Kid classroom, you'll have parents come along and sit with their child. Sometimes they sit on camera and you can see them, and sometimes they sit off camera, but you can still hear them interacting with their student. Now, my personal opinion on this is that all parents are welcome in my classroom. There are a few reasons for this, and the first one being that they're paying for the lessons. So if they are interested in seeing what their student is working on or seeing my teaching style so that they can maybe support their child outside of class time, I definitely welcome all parents to come. But I'm not going to lie and say that I've never had a negative interaction with a parent in class. Sometimes I will say something in a certain way and the parent will want to correct what I am saying. And occasionally I have to explain that in America we say it this way, and maybe you have heard that a different way from being in other places that speak English. So I kind of just take control in my classroom and I always speak directly to the child. But you will often have parents who will want to almost overcorrect their child. So you will have given a pronunciation correction, and then the parent will want to have the child repeat that 5 or 6 times. And you kind of are just sitting there thinking, oh my goodness, we don't have time for this. We have to keep moving. So, what I do in my classroom is I just again focus on my student. I say things the way that I think that they should be pronounced, or the sentence patterns, the word order, and things like that. And then I kind of just ignore the parent while I'm in class. I'm never rude to them. If they want to speak to me, I'm happy to do that. But I always make the class time only about the student. And if a parent has a question, I always welcome them to leave me some feedback with that question so that I can address it outside of class time. Now, I'm not a person who uses WeChat or any other kind of communication with parents outside of the VIP Kid platform. So yes, I do send some e-cards to the students, or I will write back and forth to the parents with the feedback, but I don't connect with them outside of class time. And I know a lot of people do that, and that's totally up to you. But for me, I really just want to focus on teaching my students when it's time to teach, and all the rest of the time should belong to me. So, one of the ways that I address parent behavior in my classroom is to just praise the student for focusing on me. So, if they are repeating after me versus their parent, I'm going to give them a lot of extra praise for that. And I'm not a person necessarily who likes to address the parent directly in class, although sometimes I'm very tempted. It's nice sometimes to say, great job, mom. Now let me hear your student say that. Or it's his turn now. And sometimes the parents are just really innocently trying to help their child, or maybe they're interested in learning English too. So they like to repeat it back just to improve their skills. But I think having a parents in the classroom can be really helpful for a few different reasons. With brand new students who are very young in particular, sometimes they don't know how to follow the directions that you're asking them to do. So if you ask them to circle or drag something on the screen, or maybe to trace something with their mouse or their finger if they're on an iPad, and they don't understand those directions, it can be really helpful to have mom or dad there to kind of guide them along with following those directions. And also, I've had children before who are literally running around their house. They're jumping up and down on couches or climbing on the table, or maybe taking their iPad and shaking it or holding it upside down. And in that case, I really love to have mom or dad there to kind of help guide that child into focusing on the lesson. But occasionally, I have parents who just, for some reason, think that it's a great time to chat with their child during my instruction. And honestly, all I do is sit back and wait. As I said, they're paying for the lesson, so however they want to use that time is fine with me. Of course, I would prefer that my student is focused on the lesson and that there is no outside conversation happening, but I don't speak Chinese, so I don't know if the parent is just clarifying some of the concepts in Chinese or if they are talking about something completely different. And if they want to use their class time for that, I guess that's up to them. But I do try to be honest in my feedback, particularly when I get a parent who is giving the child all of the answers or won't give them enough time to think about it. One of my biggest teaching strategies is just some wait time. I want to give the student some time to think about it before they provide an answer, or even if they make a mistake in their reading, I'll kind of just pause and see if they're able to correct that mistake on their own. Because, of course, I'm not going to follow them around for the rest of their life helping them speak English. I want them to be as independent as they can be. And sometimes that's kind of nerve wracking for mom and dad. They really want their child to do well, and so they'll kind of jump in and provide extra assistance where it maybe wasn't necessary. So in my feedback to them, I kind of gently tell them that it's best if we let the student answer on their own, and then I'm there to provide extra support should they need it. Because, of course, we want these children to be able to read, speak, listen, and write independently in English. And if mom and dad are always jumping in to help, it definitely creates a situation of kind of learned helplessness where I've had students before where I'll say something and the student will wait until the mom repeats it before they will answer the question. And in that case, I don't really understand the point of having me be the teacher if mom wants to be the one teaching English. So I kind of gently guide the parents into releasing a little bit of responsibility in terms of the actual classwork, but I definitely welcome them to come because they can also watch the lesson back on the video, and I don't, so to me, it doesn't feel any different having the parents sitting there in class versus knowing that they can watch the video replay. And I think even they can watch the class live. Let's, if they were at work or something and their child is at home while they're taking class. And I say parent very loosely. Sometimes it's grandma, sometimes it's an uncle or a cousin, or just even an older sister who will come along with the child to class. So everyone is welcome in my lesson, but I just try to set the mood that I am in charge in the classroom and that everyone else is welcome to participate, but it needs to not interrupt our lesson. And honestly, I've never really had any negative feedback about the way that I interact with my student in class. And after a few lessons, the parents learn that I am going to correct their child's pronunciation mistakes. I am going to support them when they need support, and they really don't have to worry about it. Because I do believe that most of the interaction with parents where they're jumping into the lesson or giving more corrections is that they're just nervous that their child is not going to do well. And I think there's some cultural differences there where in America it's really okay to fail forward. And maybe in China it's not looked upon as favorably. And so they really want their child to be perfect the first time around. So, for the most part, I really don't address parents directly in class unless the student asks me to. Because sometimes they will be talking about the members of the family and then they'll want to pull grandma over or show mom or tell dad to say what he does for work. And in that case, of course, I will say hi to them. Now, I do definitely interact with younger siblings in class on purpose. I want to get that child interested in taking class with me so that maybe when they're old enough, they will pick me as their teacher. And I think the parents really enjoy that as well if you can say hi to the younger siblings as you are teaching. Although I don't really like the younger child to sit with my student in class for the whole lesson, I do usually wave at them and give them a little greeting before we move on with our main lesson content. So let me know, what do you think about parents in the VIP Kid classroom? And I know, this discussion, I didn't really delve into parents providing discipline in class. I think that's a very touchy subject, and everyone has probably a pretty strong viewpoint on that. So again, that's going to kind of be up to you to handle how you'd like to address that, either with VIP Kid directly or with the parent directly, and not something I necessarily want to talk about here. But what are your thoughts? Do you like it when the parents come to class with their student, or would you rather just teach your student alone and not have any outside interaction from the family members? Well, that's all for my tea spill for today, but I hope you have a great day teaching, and I'll see you all later. Bye!